The skies over Shenshi, China, unleashed their fury in relentless torrents, and within days a thriving province was transformed into a vast, drowning wasteland. The rains did not merely fall, they pounded, roared, and tore their way through cities, towns, and farmlands, turning familiar streets into rivers and slicing through hillsides with the weight of their deluge. In the heart of Yan'an, entire districts vanished beneath walls of muddy water. Courtyards, shops, and family gardens were no longer places of daily life, but the stage of a desperate battle for survival. People clung to rooftops, fashioned rafts from whatever scraps they could find, and stared out across the swelling currents with a mixture of fear and exhaustion as they waited for rescuers who battled the same unforgiving waters to reach them. In Wookiee County, the fight was not only against water, but against time. Emergency crews labored endlessly, their boots sinking into the mud as they rushed to defend hospitals, schools, and government buildings from the encroaching floods. Sandbags rose like fragile walls at entrances, yet the water pressed forward, indifferent and merciless. In the county square, the national flag, once flying high, now hung drenched and heavy, its fabric sagging in the damp wind, a haunting emblem of a land brought low. Across the province, the veins of transportation snapped under the pressure. Bridges fractured and fell into churning valleys, their concrete slabs collapsing like brittle toys. Rural paths disappeared beneath liquid earth, and even major highways buckled under the assault. In Gaxian County, one of the region's key arteries simply gave way, massive chunks of road plunging into the abyss below. Supply convoys carrying food, water, and medical aid were halted, forced to retreat as the waters cut off passage. The province, once connected by a web of roads and rail, now lay fragmented and stranded. The damage ran deeper than transport. Darkness spread as power lines, battered by winds and swallowed by unstable terrain, snapped and went silent. Entire towns lost electricity overnight, their homes lit only by flickering candles or the brief glow of flashlights. Water supplies faltered too. Families, already exhausted, turned to emergency rations, waiting for crews who struggled to repair pipes in shifting, treacherous ground. Each attempt at restoration was a gamble with the earth itself, threatening to collapse at any moment. Urban centers fared no better. In Bagi and Shenyang, underground malls and subway stations were among the first victims. The water came quickly, pouring into stairwells, freezing escalators mid-motion, leaving shoppers scrambling through dark, flooded passageways. Lights sputtered and then died, trapping the city's lifeblood beneath a suffocating tide. Entire parking garages were submerged, vehicles entombed in brown waters, a silent graveyard of machines. Farmlands, the beating heart of the province's food supply, became a scene of devastation. Fields once striped with green rows of corn and wheat disappeared beneath layers of thick mud and stagnant water. Farmers dug desperate trenches, clawing at the earth in a hopeless attempt to save their crops, but the harvest was already lost. Barns filled until animals swam in rising waters, their cries echoing across drowned pastures. Cattle, goats, and poultry waded through knee-deep muck, while irrigation systems, the lifeline of agricultural life, lay shattered. The promise of the year's food production dissolved before the farmers' eyes, leaving behind fears of scarcity and hunger. Relief forces flooded in as fast as they could. Bulldozers pushed aside wreckage to carve narrow paths of hope through the chaos. Soldiers hauled crates of bottled water to the maroon, lifting children and elderly survivors onto trucks. Schools, mosques, and community halls shed their roles as places of learning and worship, becoming instead sanctuaries for the dispossessed. Inside, volunteers passed out hot meals, blankets, and dry clothes to families who arrived with nothing but the clothes they wore. The smell of damp earth clung to them, mingling with the silence of loss. Warnings echoed from loudspeakers in every district, urging vigilance. Officials reminded residents that the danger was far from over. The earth beneath their feet remained soaked, fragile, and ready to give way. Landslides could erupt at any moment. Rivers, swollen and furious, still surged with dangerous force. In the remote mountain villages, entire communities stood cut off, their paths obliterated by walls of falling earth and stone. Only helicopters could reach them, hovering like lifelines above the devastation. Yet some villagers refused to leave, unwilling to abandon homes built by generations, unwilling to leave livestock that represented their future. But even as water receded in some areas, new dangers surfaced. Pools of stagnant water, left behind like scars, threatened outbreaks of disease. Aid organizations pleaded for speed, knowing how quickly infection could spread in conditions of damp, overcrowded shelters. Doctors and nurses braced themselves for the next battle, a silent one, fought against invisible enemies in the wake of the flood. For Shenshi, this disaster is not merely a test of endurance but a crucible of unity. Communities that once lived side by side now survive shoulder to shoulder, sharing what little they have. The province has become a canvas of destruction, but also of resilience. Neighbors carry neighbors across waters. Strangers share bread and warmth. In the face of nature's rage, humanity is revealed not only in its vulnerability, but in its refusal to surrender. As helicopters circle above isolated valleys and rescue teams carve channels through the wreckage, peak, one truth emerges from the mud and chaos. The road to recovery will be long, uncertain, and fraught with hardship. Yet for the people of Shenshi, rebuilding is not an option. It is a promise, whispered across rooftops and shelters, carried by those who survived and those who continue to fight. This flood has washed away homes, harvests, and hopes, but it has not drowned the will to endure. The province stands scarred but unbroken, a place where courage rises like the waters once did, relentless and unstoppable. Floods are like thieves in the night, stealing homes, crops, and normal life in silence, yet also revealing how strong people can be when they stand together. Shenshi's disaster shows both sides. Destruction that breaks roads and families, but also resilience that builds bridges between strangers. It's a hard truth nature gives and takes. And sometimes it takes too much. But isn't it in these moments that we see who we really are? For anyone listening, remember, water is not only a source of life, it's also a force that demands respect. Preparing early, knowing escape routes, and never underestimating heavy rain, these small lessons may one day save a life. What do you think? Is rebuilding just about bricks and roads, or about spirit too? Thanks for staying with this story. Share your thoughts below. Or simply leave comment number 1 if you want to show quiet support. Slides. In